Let's get this over with. Hello, Lions fans, and welcome to a special postseason NFC Conference Championship Edition, episode 26 of Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast presented by the World of Football. I'm your host, Kyle Sutherland, and I am joined by my co-host and brother-in-law, Adam Snow. Adam, I'm going to draw a scenario for you, and I just want to know if this has ever happened to you. You ever just like wake up one morning, you're feeling great, you're like, golly, I just feel great. You go outside and, you're doing some chores outside. You might get stung by a wasp or a bee or whatever, and you're just so freaking ticked off that you just don't want to talk to anyone. And then you go to bed. Next day you wake up and you feel a lot better. You ever have one of those scenarios?
I mean, the Lions just lost the NFC Championship game, and I was pretty upset at first. I think you and I had opposite trajectories with the emotions for this one. I think I went to bed not as angry as you. I think I kind of came to terms with it a lot sooner, but I think we've intersected because while you're probably better, I'm worse. I'm so much worse now than I was last night. We'll get into it. It was a hard game to watch. Second half, at least. It stinks, but I mean, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you would have done this last night, I don't think it would have been good. Because
I mean, if we would have done it last night after the first half, this would have been one of the best shows we've ever done. But that second half, boy, what happened?
Yeah, we'll talk about it here. On today's show, we're going to go over the Lions NFC Championship loss against the San Francisco 49ers, and then look ahead to the future of Just Lying Around and the shows that we're planning on putting out, even though the off-season for the Lions have started. So we are not done. So be on the lookout for those future episodes. But
Sounds
first,
like
we want to thank you for... What's that?
I said that sounds like a threat. Like, the season might be over, but you're still going to deal with us.
Yeah, so hold on. But first, we want to thank you for checking out our podcast, whether that's on the YouTube channel or on your podcast platform of choice. You can find the World of Football and its many offerings on multiple social media platforms. Just check down in the description. Without further ado, let's get into this NFC Championship loss against the 49ers. So we had the Lions 31, 49ers 34. You couldn't really tell that first half because the Lions just total domination against the 49ers. And then I don't know if the Lions or if the 49ers put some laughing gas in the Lions locker room, but they came out stumbling in the second half and resulted in the 49ers winning over the Lions. So, real quick, going to go over some stats here. Jared Goff, 25 of 41 for 273 yards and one touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 receptions for 87 yards. Sam Laporta, 9 receptions, 97 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries, 3 receptions for 56 yards and one touchdown, and an average of 3.8 yards a carry. Jamison Williams, 1 carry, 2 receptions for 67 total yards, 2 touchdowns. And finally, David Montgomery, 15 carries, 2 receptions for a total of 113 yards and 1 touchdown, and an average of 6.2 yards a carry. 49ers, Brock Purdy, 23 of 31 for 267 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, and 5 carries for 48 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 20 carries, 4 receptions for 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an average of 4.5 yards a carry. And finally, Deebo Samuel, 8 receptions, 89 yards. Total yards for each team: Lions, 442 yards, 49ers, 413 yards. And time of possession: Lions, 27 minutes, 48 seconds, 49ers, 32 minutes, and 12 seconds. So, yeah, stat-wise, first half, Lions at the end of the half, up 17 points going into halftime. Just total domination by both sides of the ball. One of the linebackers, golly, what's his name? That got hurt.
Oh,
Barnes.
Barnes?
Yep. Barnes got hurt. Rodrigo and got a beautiful interception. Lions stopping McCaffrey that first half. JMO, Gibbs, Montgomery all had touchdowns. Laporta and St. Brown, a couple big plays by them. Lions first half had 280 total yards. So, yeah, that first half alone, it seemed like the Lions had it in the bag. I was personally, writing down Super Bowl snacks, food I was going to make. People are going to invite over for the Super Bowl party. But, yeah, how you feeling on that first half?
I mean, like every Lions fan felt, that first half was essentially, it felt like we were the team that was going to win the Super Bowl. We came into San Fran, we punched them straight in the teeth. 4 plays, we scored a touchdown. That jet sweep to JMO was a thing of beauty. And we just felt like we were on top of the world for 30 minutes. And they did everything right. I mean, they had one drive, I think, that resulted in a punt, but the other 3 were scoring drives. Uh, and it just seemed like Ben Johnson had everything he wanted that offense to do work. Everything. In the defense played outstanding. Holding McCaffrey in check, holding Deebo Samuel in check, keeping Purdy kind of on his toes, picking him off. It was like the Lions couldn't do anything wrong for a whole half. And then the second half happened.
That is correct. So we get into the second half, and right off we go into the third quarter, as all the Lions fans would say now. It really showed up for the Lions. Wacky completion to Ayuk off the helmet of Vildor. Gibbs fumbling the ball. Reynolds 2 drop passes. A bad special play, team play, which could have resulted in the 49ers starting at their 1, but Chase Lucas stepping in the end zone with the ball didn't help. And then, allowing the 49ers to tie the game in 8 minutes from a 17-point deficit in the third quarter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What can we say? I mean, was it the 49ers making great halftime adjustments, or was it just the Lions just literally having just the worst bounce of the ball? Like, how does an how does a completion happen after bouncing off of Vildor's face mask? Heck if I know. That was an unbelievable play. What a fluky play. There's just so much. The fumble by Gibbs, so uncharacteristic, happening there on our own. It was one play and back to the 49ers. So that 14-point swing, didn't help. Really killed the Lions' momentum. And they just couldn't ever seem to really get back on track till about the fourth quarter. And then everybody's going to talk about the Dan Campbell gambles. The 4th down plays he went for all game long, the 2 specifically. One that was the big drop by Josh Reynolds, which I can test. Look, he makes that catch. We're talking about a different ball game here. But everybody's going to want to focus on Dan Campbell going for it, not kicking the field goals, which I can get to a point. But at the same time, you got to realize, look, Dan Campbell's done this all season long. 4th and 3, 4th and 2. He's going to go for it. The odds are in his favor running that ball. They were 75% during the regular season, 2 for 2 in the postseason, running a play that far out for 4th down. I think, while he's going to take a brunt to that, you got to blame Reynolds on not making that catch. I'm sorry, Reynolds has been clutch pretty much all season, but for whatever reason, the Lions second half, they caught a case of the dropsies. A lot of drop passes that were like, if you make that catch, it's a different ball game, and they just couldn't recover. And I think part of the blame will also, and I don't think anybody's willing to admit this, part of it goes to Ben Johnson. That third quarter keeps popping up. The strategy going into the third quarter, like, all right, we got a 17-point lead. Let's come out and not do anything that worked and try something totally different. Like, what are we doing? I kept saying, even up 24-7, it's you got to go down. You keep your foot on the gas, and you do not let up. And the Lions have always let up. We've seen it countless times during the season. That's why if Ben Johnson goes, I'm not going to shed a tear. Is it going to suck? Yeah, like, sorry, bud. Like, I thought you were pretty good, but I think somebody can come in with these weapons and hopefully be a little more consistent. I don't think Ben Johnson was a great second. Like, you have success in the first half. He can't duplicate it. He wants to go in a different direction. He thinks it's like they're trying to out scheme or outthink the other team. Like, okay, they expect us to come back out and run the ball down their throat. Well, I'm going to tell you what. We're going to throw it on first down and not complete it. We're going to throw it on second down and not complete it. And just when they least expect it, we're going to throw it on third down and not complete it and punt it. That's what they don't expect. What are we doing? Like, that's what happened. And that's how the tide turns so quickly, because you do nothing with it. You, one, scrape off no time off the clock. You give the ball right back to a team that starts to get momentum. And before you know it, your lead vanishes to nothing. Look, at one point with that field goal when they went for it, yeah, it would have put them up by 3 possessions. Who's to say he even makes it? We saw Jake Moody miss that field goal early on for the 49ers. No field goals a gimme in the NFL. I'm sorry. And Badgley, I'm sorry also. Don't know why he's even on the team. His 48-plus kicking percentage is the worst in the league. Why is he even on this team? I was shocked when they got rid of Patterson for this guy. So why even have that guy in your team if you know, like, hey, look, we're just going to go for it on fourth and whatever if we're in that range? Like, what? Why? The field goal would have helped you, sure, but I get Dan Campbell's math there. And people complain about him. I don't think you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That was what Dan Campbell did. So no fault to Dan. It was so much other stuff happened during that game that we can throw blame at. I think Ben Johnson will be the one that nobody will talk about, but I think he deserves some blame for some of the play calling.
Yeah, like I agree there. Ben Johnson, I don't know if it gets in his head to where, like you said, he's thinking the other team's thinking that he's just gonna run the ball, so he's gonna change it up and throw the ball. But the way Montgomery was running last night, like, I don't care if they think they're gonna stop the run with Montgomery. Let's run it a few times with Montgomery to see if they can actually stop him. Like,
Yeah.
if that was me, I would have told Montgomery, buckle up because you're getting a workload today because you're on fire right now. So
Yeah, it just, I don't know. There's just some very questionable stuff. Then, towards the end of the game when they kind of had a chance, they're running a weird play at the end to try to score that touchdown to get back within 3. And hypothetically, you want your 3 timeouts, which, I thought Greg Olson did great talking about that during the broadcast. And they had to burn a timeout because they ran it. And I get why you want to have that element of surprise, but we know you got to punch it in the end zone. And a run from that at that point in the game isn't a gimme. Let's face it. As much as I like Montgomery and he can usually get the 3 yards, that amount of time left, you got to just quick punch it in the end zone because an incomplete at least stops the clock. Not getting the run in the end zone causes you a timeout, which is what happened. So coaching decision will go there too between Campbell and Johnson. There, we'll put it on both of them because I'm sure Campbell told him do whatever you need to do, but Johnson just like, yeah, we'll run it. They're going to suspect a run, and then you don't get in. It's just, it was a lot in the second half. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yep. So yeah, the only thing I want to add to the second half is the tackling in the second half was just atrocious. We
So
had
bad.
Brock Purdy break for 5 carries. He ran down the field, no one near him. Tackling on Debo Samuel was just bad. Even Christian McCaffrey broke a couple tackles. So yeah, really bad tackling in that second half there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around. I mean, a team can't have a 17-point lead and have it vanish without some blame being spread around because they just weren't that strong. They, at least in terms of coming out in the second half, knowing like here's the situation and we got to be keep on it, and they just couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. If they weren't buttoned up, if having that big a lead, going, we're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Let's start booking tickets. Let's start texting the fam. Hey, we got 30 minutes left, but we got this. And you can't sleep on a team as good as the 49ers are. You just can't. And they had their way with the 49ers. Had their way with them. And the minute you let a good team like that you're having your way with sneak back into a game, it's going to burn you. And it burned them. I mean, it's plain and simple as that. There's, not much more. I could probably poke more holes and find different people to blame, but this is going to sting for a while.
Yep, we got a whole off season to talk about it.
God, I mean, we're already a day in, and I'm already like avoiding all the sports talk. I canceled my YouTube TV. I don't need to watch no more football for a while. Like, it sucks. We were 30 minutes from going to a Super Bowl, and they blew it. It'll go down as one of the greatest choke jobs in NFL history.
Yeah, I think there's a stat out. This is like the second time only in history where a team down 17 points or something like that won a game in a playoff game or something like that. So
it sucks.
Oh, what can you do? Like
the only positive. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like this team isn't built for like a 1 year we're in it or we're gonna be down in the dumps for the next 5 years. This team is built for hopefully going to the playoffs each and every year. So it'll be interesting next year, especially when Dan Campbell said, "Hey, it ain't gonna get any easier next year. It's gonna get harder." But I think he has faith in this team. Everyone has faith in this team. So
yeah. They're in a good spot. We had talked about it off air, on air, I'm sure, but we were the one of 4 final teams in the season. The Lions going into the offseason will have at least $60 million in cap space. I'm sure that doesn't factor in what we have to do to get Goff re-signed. I'm sure maybe they'll be try to be smart and start doing some deals with guys who will have deals come up in the next couple of years. Some of these younger guys, lock them in, and spread that money around. So you got money for defensive free agents this offseason, which is what they need. They need defensive players like real bad. So we'll see. And then they got 4 picks in the first 3 rounds of the draft. I know I speak for a lot of Lions fans. We have faith that these guys, this front office, are going to hit on some really good guys, no matter where they got a pick at in those first 3 rounds. So it's looking good. And there's not a lot of free agents we're going to lose. It's a lot of second string guys. They can probably even afford to lose 1 or 2 guys who are starters, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I don't know how you feel. I'm okay with losing him. I think there's a couple other guys that we could afford to lose, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's Gardner-Johnson and Jonah Jackson, I think. But yeah, as far as Gardner-Johnson goes, he had a great run with the Detroit Lions. I think Lions need to move on from him. So,
because luckily that was just a 1-year deal, wasn't it? So
yeah, it was just a 1 year.
Yeah. So, and he was hurt most of the year. I don't know how Campbell and them felt about a lot of his off the field, like calling out Baker Mayfield, calling out Deebo Samuel, and then the waving at halftime, to the 49ers fans when we were up 21-7 at that point. I think he was waving to the crowd. Like, I get being, confident, but there's an element of cockiness. It's just like, dude, we haven't done anything. They didn't win that game. Sure, you're up, but look what happened. I just don't know if that mentality fits this Lions team. That's just like we're going to show not tell, and he's telling not showing.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep. So you got anything else about this game you want to talk about?
man, other than a lot of the 49er love from the broadcasts warranted in the second half, but it was like, God, just so much, look at the 49ers this, the 49ers that. And I don't know if that's just because we're Lions fans. We're like, well, talk a little more Lions because we were winning at that point, but we were still, kissing the 49ers butt and warranted. They were a great franchise. They got a lot of hardware and all that, but I just felt like they seem to favor the 49ers more. And I hate that when a broadcast crew feels like they're leaning towards one team. Like, they all want the 49ers to win. Like, you got to be kind of neutral. I'm not talking about, like, pregame when the Fox guys, 3 of the 4 picked the 49ers. I was like, fine, all of you pick them. I don't care. That's great. But just, I don't know. It felt like the broadcast was very 49ers heavy. Especially at the end, which is warranted because they were making that big comeback. I get it. You lean into that, but I don't know. That's just how I felt. Maybe it was just because I was frustrated and I was like tired of seeing all this 49er crap. But and I mean, I saw some videos. The Lions had that fan screening at Ford Field watching the game. They had 30-something thousand people there. That place looked incredible. Looked like a home playoff game there. They put the screens on the field for people. It looked electric. I'm sure if that first 30 minutes was some of the best Lions experience people are going to have. Second 30, I'm sure with 35,000 people, it was just a bunch of people swearing and getting mad. So, but there's that. I saw videos of, I think I saw somebody tweet, there was a 49ers fan saying they didn't meet one bad Lions fan at the 49ers stadium in Santa Clara, Levi Stadium. There's a video of Lions fans coming up the stairs and 49ers fans like shaking their hands and patting them on the back. So it was good to see that there was some sportsmanship there. I get it. Look, the 49ers deserve to win that game at the end. The Lions should have, but the 49ers, they did everything they had to get back into it. And at least we can say it wasn't blown by an official. It wasn't, something like that. There was just some fluky plays that didn't go the Lions' way, and the Lions shot themselves in the foot a couple times, and that was it. We were our own worst enemy during that game. And we have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Yep. And I know the 49ers have offensive weapons, but just looking into next year for the Lions, you got Montgomery, Gibbs year 2, Laporta year 2, Amon-Ra his 4th year coming up, Jamison Williams finally starting to click with Goff. I want to say it's going to be year 2 for him since he didn't really play his first season, and second season this year he's kind of in and out for the whole season. So yeah, and you got Goff, that offensive line. So I expect that offense next year to just be high powered with the people they got. So
Yeah.
it might be 49ers this year, but I'm going to put it on the table. It's going to be Lions next year.
Look, nothing's a guarantee. Campbell said it in his press conference. That could have been their one shot. That's how the NFL rolls. I know this team's not built to be a one and done. I think this will definitely be a team that's going to contend for a few more years, but we'll see what the offseason brings. That we don't know. I have a bad feeling that maybe Taylor Decker's going to retire. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater retired. Not that so we're going to be looking for a backup quarterback. We'll see how Hendon Hooker progresses, and we're gonna talk about here in a second some of the upcoming shows we're going to do, and then going into the off season. There'll be some stuff to talk about and look at.
So yeah, speaking of the next couple of shows we're planning on putting out, you're not going to be on a weekly basis, but just be on the lookout for them. First couple topics: season review. How we felt for the season as a whole. Was it a success or a failure? Final year rewards to the players on the Lions team.
Rewards,
and then we're gonna
awards. It's our end of the year. We're gonna do an awards show kind of thing. Kyle's gonna dress up. Probably put a top hat on. He's going to put a top hat on. I'm calling it now. I'll put on a nice shirt and a blazer, and we'll hand out some figurative hardware for some of our favorite Lions stuff from the past season.
Yep. So yeah, it'll be entertaining. Then also we're gonna look ahead to the free agents that the Lions might lose or resign, and then the draft talk, and then what we expect from the Lions next year, and who do we think that will have the breakout year for next year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think because Dad was just over here a little bit ago when we were talking. Apparently, the Lions will have the 29th overall pick in the first round. So, so get ready, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. I'm sure they're going to take a couple days, but Brad Holmes will probably be hard at work finding out who that next stud is. We're going to take at 29.
If Aaron Glenn is still a defensive coordinator, I'll put money down that it'll be a defensive back, the first pick.
It doesn't matter who the coordinator is. It's got to be defense. Either another rusher with Hutch, or we need a corner. And we'll see in free agency too. We need a corner. I think that's something else we'll have to do. Is what are our biggest, off-season needs that we think? We'll do something in one of these upcoming shows.
Yep. So yeah, just be on the lookout for those. We'll post them. I'll retweet them or whatever.
Yeah.
You call it.
And hey, we hit 700 subscribers on the World of Football channel. So thanks everybody for checking us out in our little Lions show here. So, but fun. What a decent season, for us to do this for the first time. Like, we got all the way to the NFC Championship game. So that can't go without saying. I mean, we can be sad today, and we'll reflect on the whole season. But for a brief moment, I do want to just say we made it to the NFC Championship game in 3 years. I think we're ahead of schedule with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' plan. So I think good things are still to come, and we can be bummed today because we lost a game we probably should have won, but the future is bright.
Yep. Especially the way they played the first half, facing a team that's ranked number 1 in offense and defense. So yeah. All right. Anything else that you want to add, or should we close this out?
We'll close this one out, and we'll be back again soon with some more topics and a little more laid back shows.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Go ahead and close it out then.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. We hope you enjoyed listening or watching today's episode and come back for more. Be sure to visit the World of Football's website, www.theworldoffootball.com, for news, links, upcoming events, videos, original articles, and more. If you want to get in touch with us, I don't know why you would, but if you need to, send us an email at info@theworldoffootball.com, or you can hit us up on any of our social media platforms. That would be X, Instagram, Facebook. Look down in the description for those if you are so inclined. Also, be sure to check out our flagship podcast on the World of Football YouTube channel / podcast feed. This Week in the World of Football, hosted by myself and my father, Randy Snow, as we talk about all the stuff in the world of football, including the other conference championship game that happened this weekend. We're going to probably talk some arena football news, I think, this week, and probably a couple other little things happening here and there as we gear up for the UFL and the Arena League season's around the corner. So check us out over there. Those episodes drop every single Tuesday, guys, so be sure to check us out. Subscribe, all that junk. Again, links down in the description below. Petting your cat? What are you doing?
Yeah, cat's driving me nuts here. So yeah, that's it for us this week. Be on the lookout next couple weeks. We'll post another video or two. Thanks for watching, everyone, listening, all that stuff. Like, subscribe, and commenting. We really appreciate it. Like I say it again. This was not a failure on the Detroit Lions this season. This was a really awesome season for them, for us as fans, going to the NFC Championship game. Like, what a freaking ride it was. So hopefully they'll continue the success next season. And yeah, remember, go Lions.
Go Lions.